right, Doom Nation, we are back in the captain's quarters. It's your captain and Skaggs as always, and we are back with another Doomed review. And as you can see by the DC pops out, we are going to be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes, that just came out on HBO Max.
Yes.
Came out on Christmas Day, I believe, right?
Yeah, and didn't you have problems watching it?
Yeah.
Surprisingly not?
So I'll start off with, as part of the review, one thing I did like was that it came out on HBO Max, right? So I didn't have to go to the movie theater, or I already have HBO Max. I could watch it right away, but I did have problems with watching it the day it came out. There was streaming issues, and it was billed as being in 4K, but there was like grainy stuff in the background.
I didn't notice any of that.
A lot of screens. You didn't watch it on Christmas Day, right? So
No,
that could have been
I watched it yesterday.
So a little bit poor of a rollout, but it was Christmas Day. It probably was very busy for HBO Max.
So, I mean, I took some notes here. And
yes, spoiler warning, by the way.
Yeah, we don't give a shit if you haven't seen it yet. So turn us off now. Don't cry to us later. You've been warned. We'll start off with, we'll get into maybe a little bit later, like what we really think. Like I started with like the beginning of the movie, the opening in where is she from? The
Amazon.
Yeah,
the Amazon. She's part of the Amazonian tribe.
Right? Those games aesthetically was cool, but it was American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, it was
basically.
It was.
And the beginning was confusing because everyone was doing like something different, and then they got organized.
Yeah, I enjoyed the opening scene. Definitely,
it was pretty good. It was something different, and it was good. She learned a lesson as a child that came back to help her later on. But then one of the things that I really did like about this movie, it's just a favorite theme of mine, was the 80s. They really went full-blown 80s with it.
They did, yeah. They definitely did. There was also like the Cold War vibe going on between the United States and the Soviet Union.
What the president was worried about. So you want to explain basically what the movie was about, or?
Yeah, I mean, so the movie was essentially about Wonder Woman, obviously, and it's been how many years now since the first movie?
Oh,
a lot, like maybe 50, 60 years or so.
Yeah.
And long story short, they find this stone. What was it called?
The Dream Stone.
The Dream Stone, and it turns out that the Dream Stone can actually grant your wishes or your dream, make your dreams come true. So this salesman, his name is Max Lord. He's actually played by Pedro Pascal.
And I actually have a note here. I am so glad that like he's blowing up. I want to see him in everything now.
I'll tell you what, I thought Pedro Pascal did a good job as Max Lord, and it was interesting to see him as like a goofy, funny role for once instead of his he's normally like very
He's always
serious.
like the best fighter there is,
Right. So long story short, Max Lord gets his hands on the stone, and he starts making wishes and like granting wishes for people around the world. One of the people who also gets a wish on the stone is Barbara Minerva, Cheetah.
Yes.
And she wishes that she was as cool and as strong and etc.
as
Diana, not knowing that she was Wonder Woman at the time.
Right. And Diana wished for Steve Trevor back. And so every wish takes something away from you. So Diana started losing her powers. Max Lord basically just started losing his health.
Everything.
Yeah. And Chitara, or Cheetah, whatever you want to call her, she lost her humanity,
right? Because
she was such a nice, like innocent, like fun person before.
She lost all her personality, everything about her. That was good.
So another thing, so the story was a slow build-up. If you have to,
one of my criticisms is going to be that she wasn't really Wonder Woman until like she didn't like become Wonder Woman until like an hour into the movie.
Yeah,
with that car chase Mad Max scene, which was fucking awesome. That was a great part. The car chase in like in Egypt, I believe it was. That was cool. But she didn't really become Wonder Woman or do any cool shit until an hour.
Yeah, she fought a couple of guys in a mall, and I liked the suit.
That scene was so dumb.
Yeah, because of course she was gonna wreck these four guys. The suit was on point. I loved the red suit. Didn't care for the Goldberg suit at all. Didn't care for it. That
was later on. I thought it was cool. Yeah. It was cool. I didn't like the second opening scene where she's in a mall and there's like a robbery.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman swoops in to save the day. It was overkill. Number one, she was fighting four random idiots. Yeah. Like why was she even there?
Yeah, just to save. So that's where it started with me. The movie was all right. It was nothing special, but the women empowerment and don't get me wrong, there should be many more movies that have female empowerment in them. But you can't just you can't just give us female empowerment and expect that to make the movie good. You know what I mean? Like, yes, she's a woman and she kicked butt and she taught little girls that you could kick butt and you could be strong and that you don't need to be a victim and stuff. And that's all great stuff. But there was no like meat to like the sandwich of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, magically Steve Trevor comes back and it was cool seeing him experience everything, but
why did he have to come back? Yeah. I have no problem with the woman empowerment stuff because this is Wonder Woman's movie.
Yeah,
right?
and I get
and that's
that.
what it should be about. But it wasn't like the story was kind of silly.
Yeah,
right.
It was a nonsense. Like this wasn't detrimental to the Justice League. This wasn't detrimental to shaping the DC cinematic universe. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fine. It didn't have to be, but the story was silly. There was a lot of silly points. Why did they have to bring Steve Trevor back, really?
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, so he could fly the jet once.
Yeah.
That was his big thing.
And let's be real, that made no sense, the fact that he flew the invisible jet, because he was a pilot in 1917 in World War I, where they were flying biplanes. How the fuck is Steve Trevor going to just all of a sudden know how to fly
a fighter jet?
Sophisticated, a Soviet Cold War fighter jet. That made no sense whatsoever.
And that was the other thing. I don't know about the comics. I know she always had the invisible jet, but just now she has the power to make things invisible. I kind of felt like that was like a new power that they just threw in there. It was, and my other problem with the invisible jet, it was like the only nod to like an Easter egg.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, yeah, it was, yeah.
I don't think there was too many Easter eggs in it, and that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, that was kind of a plot hole, in my opinion, Steve Trevor with the jet in general. One thing I thought was also weird was later on her flying.
Yeah. Well, she can fly in the comic books, and then I think in one of the other movies she was in, she was riding the lightning, which was pretty cool. She did that in I think the Justice League movie, so that was pretty cool. But somebody had found a plot hole because in the Justice League movie, she's actually on a plane, and if she learned how to fly in 1984, then why wasn't she just flying to wherever she had to go?
Right, like using the lasso to fly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like it felt some of the plot points, they felt very clunky.
Yeah,
and I appreciated Max Lord, Pedro Pascal's performance. That was silly, but it felt like it didn't fit in this movie, which is like this strong, badass woman.
Yeah,
and here's like this dumb story that she's. I don't know, like it was kind of like a weird.
Yeah, he wasn't this super strong individual that like she had to conquer.
Right.
It was more of like a mind game with him, like how the way she eventually. We won't give out how she becomes victorious, but he wasn't. There could have been better villains to pick, and when I realized that woman was Cheetah, I was like, this is awesome, this is great. And then they fucked that up too.
She was kind of misused. She didn't really become the primal version of Chidara until like the very few last scenes of the movie.
And then her wish was over and she went back to normal. These villains in the comic books are just as famous as the superheroes. So here's one of Wonder Woman's top most well-known villains, and like it's a one and done fight. Like, how does she become Cheetah again? Like, how could she possibly do it? Like, I really was upset that, like, it didn't leave the door open for her coming back. And, like, here's this great villain that she's always fought throughout the years. One and done.
Yeah. I'm going to just spoil everything because I really don't care. But even towards the end, there was plot holes with the way Max Lord apparently gave everybody a wish. Max Lord uses a satellite system that the United States was developing to reach every television screen or anything screen in the world. And he asks, can I touch people? Because doesn't he have to actually
he has to be touching
He has to touch you in order to grant your wish. So he doesn't actually physically touch anyone.
Yeah,
so
the particles are touching.
Right, that makes no sense. You're really asking me to believe a lot there.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Wonder Woman thwarts him by grabbing onto him with the lasso of truth while he's broadcasting to the world. And asking everyone to rescind their wish. And this is how we're going to undo the damage that Max Lord has done. So that's all wishful thinking. No pun intended. You would mean there was actually a scene of a terrorist, like an Islamic terrorist, and
turn this off.
He wished for nuclear weapons. So you mean to tell me that
Yeah.
that guy who is, if you're billing him as some sort of radical fundamentalist, is going to undo his wish?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, he's gonna feel bad and change it. You know how many selfish people in the world are gonna be like, I wish for $1 billion, and $1 billion is gonna pop up in front of them. No, I'm not getting rid of it. No, I'm good. Like
that was a nice plot hole.
The one plot hole that bothered me was like she was getting ready to like go into battle and just she had the bird suit. Like she opened up like a door and like that bird suit came out of nowhere.
Right. It was wrapped in cloth in the closet before, but
like. Yeah. I don't know. Just she got that super quickly and then traveled to wherever she had to go to fight them.
Another scene I didn't like was when she actually, in order to regain her powers, she has to rescind her wish of bringing Steve Trevor back from the dead, which she does. But that was a very weird scene. Number one, I don't think Gal Gadot acted out that scene very well. Like her being upset and crying, I didn't buy it.
Right.
It wasn't very well acted, that scene. She did a great job and everything else, but that scene...
I kind of actually liked it because when she walked away, like, she was all bloodied and, like, cut up.
But that's not acting, though. That's CGI.
Well, true. Well,
her
her tears and stuff,
Her tears and stuff, I didn't really buy it.
Right.
And it was just weird. It was like, I'm going to go, goodbye now, and she just walks away.
Yeah,
like
and unwishes it.
Almost like mid-sentence.
Yeah.
It's just...
And he just stood there and he's like, all right, bye. Like, end scene.
Very weird. Very weird.
I know. Overall, I really didn't care much for the movie. There's kind of a playbook now to these superhero movies. Easter eggs need to be utilized big time. References need to be utilized. Nods to the comic book. And, I mean, the red costume and the invisible jet. And then even the actress that used to play Wonder Woman was in the little end credit scene.
That was cool.
That was cool. They had an end credit scene, but it was a waste of an end credit scene as far as I'm concerned. She did something cool. It was cool to have her back. They kind of just like Lego pieced her in there. Like at the end, they're like, "Oh, we forgot something. Here we go."
Well, they tried to spin it as she was the legendary Amazonian warrior who saved the Amazonians from being attacked by men. Which I thought that flashback scene was
that's
pretty
the part
cool.
that I missed because I never got her name the first time around.
I forget her name. It's like Amenia or something.
Yeah.
And that was apparently her, and they had been searching for her for a long time, never found her. They only Wonder Woman only found her armor. So she is still alive. I thought that flashback was pretty cool because it looked like the Spartans from 300 were fighting her.
Yep, when Man tried to take over.
That was
there was some cool things about it, but like overall, like nothing special. I mean, have Aquaman pop up, have young Bruce Wayne pop up, have a nod to Smallville or something. Had a nod to Lex Luthor at least,
Yeah, that stuff doesn't bother me. I just felt like I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it because it was free. You ever get food for free?
Yeah,
it's always
tastes
better.
that much better.
So that's why I enjoyed it. You want to give it a rating out of 10?
Oof, I'm gonna go right in the middle of the road because I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything special. So I'm gonna give it like a 5.
Wow, that's funny because that's exactly what I was gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 because I enjoyed it because it was free, but I thought it was clunky and it wasn't the best story. I
think they could have done better. I mean, she's gorgeous. She's great.
She fits the part perfectly.
And Pedro is becoming with The Mandalorian is becoming my quickest favorite actor right now. And there was all the parts there. Cheetah was an awesome villain. The slow build up. Cheetah's a one and done fight. This villain wasn't nothing special. No big Easter eggs. That's why I just take it for what it is, a action movie.
Yep. So that's it. That's our Doom review. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Maybe tell us what you thought about it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you. We'll catch you guys on Two Doom Men. We're going to be recording soon.
Take it easy.